The docking process between the human ship and the Threlix vessel proved to be another lesson in adaptation. The Eternal Curiosity had been designed for contact with known galactic species, all of which used similar atmospheric mixtures and pressure systems. The human ship operated on a completely different standard. Atmospheric compatibility is at 67%, reported the Threlix science officer. We can survive in their environment, but it will be taxing for extended periods. And they can survive in ours? Asked Captain Morden. According to their readings, our atmosphere is actually more comfortable for them than their own. Lower oxygen content, lighter pressure. They describe it as refreshing. When the airlock finally opened, Captain Morden and his senior staff got their first look at the species that had just saved their lives. The humans were indeed different from anything they had encountered. Shorter than most galactic species, but built with obvious strength, moving with a fluid grace that spoke of perfect adaptation to their environment. Their eyes seemed to track everything simultaneously, and when Captain Chen smiled, her expression revealed teeth that were clearly designed for both cutting and tearing. "Captain Morden," she said, extending what the Threlix recognized as a greeting gesture. "It's an honor to meet you. I'm Sarah Chun, and this is my tactical officer, Commander Webb." The human commander was even more intimidating than his captain, built like one of the ancient war beasts from Threlix mythology. But when he spoke, his voice carried genuine warmth. "Hell of a fight you put up, Captain. Most crews would have folded hours ago, but you kept your people together and found cover in the asteroid field. That took real courage." "We are not warriors," Captain Morden replied honestly. "We are scientists and explorers. Without your intervention, we would all be dead." "Maybe," Captain Chun acknowledged. "But you lasted long enough for help to arrive, and that's what mattered. Your people showed real spirit out there." As the crews mingled, the Galactic Council continued to monitor the situation. The contrast between the two species was striking. The Threlix moved with careful deliberation, considering each action before proceeding. The humans seemed to operate on instinct, their movements quick and confident. When one of the Threlix younglings approached Commander Webb with obvious curiosity, the huge human knelt down to the child's level and began explaining the basics of kinetic weaponry in terms a youngster could understand. "Fascinating," murmured Dr. Yiltai, the Council's chief xenobiologist. "The humans show no signs of the territorial aggression we would expect from predatory species. They are protective of the Threlix, treating them as allies rather than potential threats. Their social structure appears highly cooperative," agreed Ambassador Zexhai. "Despite their obvious capacity for violence, they channel it very specifically. They fought to protect strangers, not to dominate them." The conversation was interrupted by a new transmission from the outer system. The 3 hostile ships that had initially attacked Defiance were requesting permission to surrender. Their message was transmitted on an open frequency, ensuring everyone could hear. "Human vessel, this is Commander Sectal of the Raider Fleet. We wish to discuss terms of surrender. Our weapons are powered down and we await your instructions." Captain Chen's response carried clearly across space. "Commander Sectal, this is Captain Chun. Before we discuss surrender, I need to understand something. Who sent you to attack innocent scientists?" We are independent raiders. We prey on soft targets in the outer rim. The Threlix research vessel seemed an easy prize. We were hired by information brokers who told us their defenses were minimal. Information brokers? Commander Webb's voice cut in, sharp with interest. "Who specifically?" There was a long pause before the raider replied. "The Kazran Syndicate. They pay well for information about vulnerable vessels traveling the outer rim. We never expected resistance." In the council chamber, several representatives exchanged meaningful glances. The Kazran Syndicate had been a growing problem for months, organizing attacks on remote settlements and research outposts. Their raids were always perfectly timed, suggesting access to shipping schedules and security information that should have been classified. "Captain Chun," Admiral Kessler transmitted, "the Kazran Syndicate has been responsible for 17 attacks in the past 6 months. If these raiders can provide intelligence on their operations. Understood, Admiral. Commander Sectal, here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer all your data on Syndicate operations to both my ship and the Galactic Council. In exchange, I won't turn you over to the Draknari Empire for trial. Instead, you'll be processed through the civilian courts on charges of attempted piracy. That means jail time instead of execution. Do we have a deal? The speed of the raiders' acceptance suggested they understood exactly what kind of mercy they were being offered as the data transfer began. Captain Morden found himself in conversation with the human crew. The cultural exchange was proving educational for everyone involved. Your ship, he said to Captain Chun, it is so different from ours. Everything seems designed for conflict. Not really, she replied. It's designed for survival. In human space, you have to be ready for anything. Pirates, equipment failures, navigation hazards, hostile environments. We build our ships to handle whatever comes up. But the weapons are just one tool among many. We also carry advanced medical equipment, engineering supplies, scientific instruments, and diplomatic protocols for first contact situations. The railguns get the most attention, but they're actually the least important system on the ship most days. Dr. Yiltai's voice came through the communication system. Captain Chun, your species seems remarkably adaptable. In just this one encounter, you've demonstrated tactical innovation, environmental manipulation, mercy toward defeated enemies, and diplomatic contact protocols. How is this possible for a species so early in its technological development? Captain Chin laughed, a sound that somehow conveyed both humor and sadness. Doctor, we've had to be adaptable. Our world is beautiful, but it's also incredibly dangerous. Volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, earthquakes, ice ages, asteroid impacts, mass extinctions. Any species that survived on Earth had to learn to roll with the punches. We got good at adapting because the alternative was extinction. And now you bring that adaptability to space, observed Admiral Kessler. We try to. Every system is different. Every situation calls for different solutions. Today it was kinetic weapons and asteroid manipulation. Tomorrow it might be diplomacy and trade agreements. We use whatever works. The data from the captured raiders was proving invaluable. The Kazran Syndicate's operations were more extensive than anyone had realized, with contacts throughout the Outer Rim and even some connections to criminal organizations in the core worlds. More importantly, they had been specifically targeting research vessels and peaceful settlements, knowing they would face minimal resistance. This intelligence will allow us to roll up their entire network, Admiral Kessler reported with satisfaction. Captain Chun, your actions today have done more than save one research vessel. You may have broken the back of the largest criminal organization in this sector. Happy to help, Admiral. But we didn't do this for intelligence purposes. We did it because people needed help. That simple statement resonated through the council chamber. Every representative understood that they had witnessed something unprecedented, a species that had risked everything to save strangers, with no expectation of reward or recognition. Captain Chun, Ambassador Zexhai said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I would like to extend an invitation for humanity to establish formal diplomatic relations. Your species has demonstrated qualities that we value highly: courage, innovation, mercy, and a willingness to help others in need. We appreciate the offer, Ambassador, but that's a decision for people way above my pay grade. I'm just a ship captain. Though I will say, if the rest of the galaxy is anything like the folks we've met today, we'd be honored to be part of your community. The feeling is mutual, Captain Morden interjected. My people will never forget what you have done for us. When the formal discussions begin, the Thralix Confederation will speak strongly in favor of human membership. Similar commitments came from other representatives. The Draknari Empire was interested in tactical exchanges. The Altarian Republic wanted to discuss trade possibilities. Even the Zentari, usually secretive to the point of paranoia, expressed interest in learning more about human stealth and infiltration techniques. One thing puzzles me, Dr. Yiltai said. Your species shows remarkable unity for one so young. Most civilizations experience significant growing pains during their transition to spacefaring status. Internal conflicts, resource wars, ideological divisions. How did humanity avoid these problems? Captain Chun and Commander Webb exchanged a look that spoke volumes. "Doctor," Chun said carefully, "who says we avoided them? We had all those problems and more. Wars that spanned continents, weapons that could destroy our entire world, divisions that seemed insurmountable. We nearly wiped ourselves out a dozen times over. Then how?" "We learned," Webb said simply. "Every time we came close to the edge, a few more people decided that cooperation." The first hostile ship opened fire while still at maximum range, its plasma torpedoes streaking through space like miniature suns. Standard galactic doctrine called for immediate evasive maneuvers, shields to maximum, and return fire with energy weapons. The human ship did none of these things. Instead, Defiance rolled hard to starboard and dove toward the asteroid field, using gravity and momentum in ways that made Ambassador's ex-highest navigation officers check their instruments twice. The plasma torpedoes passed harmlessly through empty space where the human vessel had been moments before. "Impossible," breathed Admiral Kessler. "No ship can maintain structural integrity with those kinds of forces." "Humans can." Captain Chen's voice came through the com, strained but steady. 8 Gs is uncomfortable. 12 Gs is unpleasant. We're only pulling 6 right now. Webb, talk to me about firing solutions. Working on it, Captain. These bastards have never fought anyone who uses kinetic weapons. They're staying in nice, predictable formations because they're used to energy weapon ranges. They have no idea what our railguns can do. The 3 attacking ships pursued the Defiance into the asteroid field, confident in their superior firepower. Their formation was perfect by galactic standards, maintaining optimal firing lanes while providing mutual support. It was also exactly what Commander Webb had been hoping for. "All stop," Captain Chun ordered. And the human ship suddenly killed its engines behind a massive asteroid, disappearing from the pursuer's sensors. The 3 hostile vessels spread out, searching for their prey. That was when the humans introduced the galaxy to the concept of an ambush. The first kinetic round came from nowhere. A depleted uranium slug accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed by Defiance's railgun. It punched through the lead attacker's shields as if they weren't there, penetrating the hull and wreaking havoc on the ship's internal systems. The vessel immediately began venting atmosphere, and lost power to its port side weapons. The second and third shots followed before the other hostiles could even locate their attacker. Defiance had used the asteroid's mass to mask its position while lining up what humans apparently called the perfect shot. Target designation Alpha is critically damaged. Commander Webb reported with satisfaction. Beta and Gamma are breaking formation. They're running scared. But the human ship wasn't done. Instead of pursuing the fleeing attackers, Captain Chen ordered a course toward the main battle where 9 hostiles still surrounded the crippled Eternal Curiosity. The Thralic ship's shields were failing, and it would be dead within the hour. "Captain Chun," Admiral Kessler transmitted, "your tactics are ... unorthodox, but you still face 9 enemy vessels. Recommend you withdraw while you can. Admiral, with respect, we didn't come here to run away. Webb, what's our ammunition status?" 47 kinetic rounds remaining, Captain. Plenty for what I have in mind. What Commander Webb had in mind turned out to be a tactical masterpiece that would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for generations to come. Instead of engaging the 9 ships directly, Defiance began a complex dance through the asteroid field, using the massive rocks not just as cover, but as weapons. The first asteroid was a relatively small one, perhaps 50 meters across. Defiance fired 3 kinetic rounds at carefully calculated points on its surface, fracturing it into dozens of deadly fragments. The debris cloud expanded outward at high velocity, forcing 2 of the attacking ships to break off their assault on the Eternal Curiosity to avoid being shredded. "Ingenious," whispered Prime Minister Yulseth. "They're using the environment itself as a force multiplier." The second phase of the human attack was even more audacious. Defiance positioned itself behind a massive asteroid nearly a kilometer across, and began accelerating it using concentrated railgun fire at specific points on its trailing edge. The ancient rock began moving, slowly at first. Then, with increasing speed as the humans turned it into the largest kinetic weapon in the system, the hostile commanders finally realized what was happening and tried to scatter, but it was too late. The asteroid, guided by precisely timed railgun shots, slammed into two of their ships at once, crushing them like insects. The explosion lit up the entire asteroid field and sent shockwaves through space that damaged two more vessels. 5 hostiles down, Webb reported calmly. 4 remaining, and they're starting to panic. The panic was visible on long-range sensors. The attacking ships broke formation completely, some trying to flee the system while others turned their weapons on the human vessel in desperate fury. Their coordination collapsed as each captain made individual decisions, based on fear rather than tactics. Captain Chun's response was as brutal as it was efficient. Defiance emerged from the asteroid field like an ancient Earth predator, striking at the confused enemies with methodical precision. Each railgun shot was calculated to disable rather than destroy, leaving the hostile crews alive but helpless. "Captain," came a weak transmission from the Eternal Curiosity. "This is Captain Morden. Our sensors show the attacking force has been neutralized." "How is this possible?" "Your ship is so small. Size doesn't matter in a fight, Captain Morden," Chun replied. "What matters is knowing how to use what you've got." "Are your people okay?" "Yes, thanks to you. Our children are safe. Our scientists are safe. We owe you a debt we can never repay. No debt necessary. We humans have a saying, today you, tomorrow me. Someday we might need help, and maybe you'll be there to provide it." The council chamber had fallen completely silent as representatives processed what they had just witnessed. A single human ship, using primitive kinetic weapons and tactics that seemed almost barbaric, had defeated a force that had overwhelmed the peaceful Threlix completely. "Admiral Kessler," Zexhai finally managed, "what is your tactical assessment?" The Draknari officer took a long moment before responding. "I have never seen anything like it. They used the environment as a weapon. They turned their enemy's formation against them. They fought with a combination of precision and brutality that defies every military doctrine I know." "But how?" asked Ambassador Telmai. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. Their ship is smaller and less sophisticated. By every logical measure, they should have been destroyed in the first exchange." "Because," Captain Chen's voice cut through their discussion, "you've been thinking about war all wrong. You've got these beautiful ships with perfect shields and elegant weapons, and you fight like you're dancing. You maintain formation and follow protocols and try to minimize casualties. These are the hallmarks of civilized warfare," Telmai protested. "Maybe," Chun acknowledged. "But we humans learned to fight on a world where everything was trying to kill us from the moment we developed consciousness. We don't fight fair. We don't fight pretty. We fight to win, and we use whatever tools we have available. Sometimes that means turning an asteroid into a wrecking ball. Sometimes that means using gravity and momentum and basic physics in ways your fancy computers never considered." Commander Webb's voice joined the transmission. "Captain's being modest. What we just did wasn't just about fighting dirty. It was about adaptation. Every one of your species seems to have developed one type of weapon, one type of tactic, one type of approach to conflict. You plasma torpedo folks, you energy beam people, you shield and barrier specialists. You've all specialized, and," Zexhai prompted, "and humans are generalists. We use kinetic weapons because they work. We use tactics that adapt to the situation instead of following a preset doctrine. When those attackers showed up with 12 ships, you thought about how to match them with 12 ships. We thought about how to defeat 12 ships with one." "The environmental manipulation was particularly impressive," admitted Admiral Kessler, "using the asteroids as both cover and weapons simultaneously. How did you calculate the trajectories?" "We didn't," Captain Chun replied cheerfully. "We guessed. Made our best estimates based on experience and intuition, then adjusted on the fly when our guesses were wrong. Sometimes close enough is good enough, especially when you're dealing with rocks the size of city blocks. The casual admission sent ripples of shock through the chamber. Guessing? Intuition? These concepts were antithetical to everything the galactic species understood about proper military planning. "You're telling us," HFY said slowly, "that you defeated a superior force using weapons calculations based on educated guesses? Welcome to human warfare, Ambassador. We've been doing this kind of thing for millennia. Every battle is different. Every situation calls for different solutions. You can't program adaptability into a computer. You can't write regulations for creativity. Sometimes you just have to trust your instincts and hope your aim is good." "Your aim was excellent," observed Captain Morden. "Every shot precisely placed to disable but not destroy. You could have killed them all." "We could have," Captain Chun agreed. "But we're not murderers. Those crews were following orders, just like we do sometimes. Besides, disabled ships can answer questions about who sent them and why. Dead ships just create more problems." Admiral Kessler found herself studying the tactical recordings with new eyes. The human approach seemed almost organic, flowing and adapting like a living thing rather than following preset patterns. It was simultaneously more primitive. The emergency beacon cut through the usual chatter of the Galactic Council's communication network like a knife through silk. Ambassador HFY of the Vorthic Collective felt his primary heart skip a beat as the distress signal flooded his neural implants with raw desperation. "Council members," the transmission began, crackling with interference from what could only be weapons fire. "This is Captain Morden of the research vessel Eternal Curiosity. We are under attack by unknown hostiles in the Kepler 442 system. Our defensive systems are failing. We have civilians aboard, including the young ones. Please, anyone who can assist." The line went dead. HFY's 4 eyes darted across his holographic display as emergency protocols kicked in. The Kepler 442 system sat on the outer rim of civilized space, where the Threlix Confederation had been conducting deep space archaeological surveys. The Threlix were peaceful by nature, their entire species having evolved from herbivorous pack animals. Their ships carried minimal weapons, designed more for scientific exploration than combat. Within moments, the council chamber buzzed with activity. Representatives from dozens of species materialized as holograms around the circular amphitheater, their forms shimmering with the telltale blue glow of quantum communication. "The attack came without warning," reported Admiral Kessler of the Drachnary Empire, her reptilian features grim. "Long-range sensors show at least 12 vessels of unknown configuration. They appear to be using some form of energy weapon that our databases don't recognize." "How long until our nearest fleet can reach them?" asked Prime Minister Yulseth of the Altarian Republic, his crystalline form pulsing with concerned orange light. 72 hours minimum," Kessler replied. "The Drachnary Third Fleet is conducting exercises in the Vega sector. Even at maximum burn, they won't arrive in time." A heavy silence fell over the assembly. Everyone understood what that meant. The Threlix ship carried over 300 souls, including nearly 50 younglings on an educational voyage. In 72 hours, there would be nothing left to save. "What about the Zentari?" suggested someone from the back of the chamber. "Their stealth technology might allow a smaller force to slip through." "Negative," came the response from a Zentari representative, their voice distorted by their species' natural harmonic frequencies. "Our nearest cloaked vessels are engaged in border patrol duty near the core worlds. Reassigning them would take even longer." More suggestions flew around the chamber, each one shot down by logistics, distance, or technical limitations. The Vorthak had powerful ships, but were dealing with a pirate uprising in their own territory. The Helixans possessed advanced weaponry, but their crews were occupied with a first contact situation 3 systems away. The Korathi had speed, but lacked the firepower to engage 12 unknown HOS.LES. As the debate continued, a new voice crackled through the communication array. "The signal was weaker than the others," clearly coming from much farther away, and carried an odd accent that made several representatives check their universal translators. Galactic Council, this is Captain Sarah Chun of the Earth vessel Defiance. We couldn't help but overhear your emergency broadcast. We're currently en route to establish a trading post in the Outer Rim territories, and we're only 18 hours out from Kepler 442. We'd like to offer our assistance. Every representative in the chamber turned to look at their displays. Confusion written across features both familiar and utterly alien. Earth? The name meant nothing to most of them? A few of the older diplomats searched their databases, finding only the most basic of entries. .zex single quotes HAI pulled up the file on his personal screen. Species, human classification, pre-FTL primitive civilization. Recent contact established. Technology level, approximately 2.7 on the Kardashev scale. Current status, under observation for potential council membership in 500 to 800 standard years. Captain Chun, Zexhai responded carefully. We appreciate your offer, but this situation requires significant military capability. According to our records, your species has only recently achieved faster-than-light travel. Perhaps it would be better if you, with respect, Ambassador, Captain Chun interrupted. And there was something in her tone that made Zexhai's translator work overtime to convey the subtle mixture of politeness and steel. We've been monitoring this frequency for the past 6 hours. Those Threllics are dying while you debate logistics. We have weapons, we have a crew that knows how to use them, and we can be there in 18 hours. What exactly do you have to lose? Your lives, Admiral Kessler interjected bluntly. These unknown hostiles destroyed the Threllics' defensive systems in minutes. Whatever weapons you primitives possess, they will be insufficient against this threat. A new voice joined the human transmission, gravelly and amused. Admiral, this is Commander Marcus Webb, Tactical Officer of the Defiance. I've been reviewing the sensor data you've shared. Those unknown hostiles are using plasma torpedo systems and coherent light beam weapons. Standard fare, really. The Threllics got caught with their pants down because they're explorers, not fighters. We, on the other hand, have been fighting wars since before we discovered fire. Sometimes the old ways work just fine. Impossible, scoffed Ambassador Talmai of the Hegemony. No species achieves interstellar travel while maintaining such barbaric tendencies? Violence is inefficient. Cooperation and logical discourse resolve all conflicts. Captain Chin's laugh carried clearly through the transmission, causing several representatives to adjust their audio dampeners. Ambassador, with all due respect, you've clearly never met a human before. We didn't cooperate our way to the stars. We fought, clawed, and improvised our way here. And right now, that's exactly what those Threllics need. The Council cannot authorize military action by an unregistered species, Zexhai stated formally, though privately he found himself oddly intrigued by these humans. You lack proper credentials, your technology is unverified, and your combat capability is unknown. Then don't authorize it, came Chun's reply. We're not asking for permission. We're informing you of our intentions as a courtesy. Defiance is changing course for Kepler 442. We'll reach the system in 17 hours, 43 minutes. If you want to send someone to clean up afterward, that's your business. But those people aren't dying on our watch. The transmission ended, the chamber erupted in dozens of conversations as representatives huddled with their advisors, debating this unprecedented situation. Some called for the humans to be ordered to stand down. Others worried about the diplomatic implications of unauthorized military action. A few wondered if this might actually work. Zexhai found himself studying the limited data available on humanity. The files painted a picture of a species that had emerged from what their own records called the most violent planet in known space. Earth's gravity was nearly twice galactic standard. Its atmosphere contained poisonous levels of oxygen. Its surface was dominated by vast oceans filled with predators, and the land masses were home to creatures that could crush most galactic species without effort. Yet, these humans had not only survived, but thrived. They had tamed their death world, conquered their violent nature enough to achieve spaceflight, and developed technology that, while primitive by galactic standards, showed remarkable innovation and adaptability. "Admiral," Zexai called out to Kessler, "what is your honest assessment? If these humans engage the hostiles, what are their chances of success?" The Draknari officer's scaled brow furrowed as she considered. "Based on their technology level? Minimal. Their ship will likely be destroyed within the first few exchanges, however." She paused, studying her own data screens. "Their approach vector is interesting. Instead of the standard direct line intercept that any military vessel would use, they're plotting a course that will bring them in from the system's asteroid belt. And their transmission mentioned old ways working just fine. I find myself curious about what that might mean." "Curious enough to delay the arrival of your third fleet?" asked Prime Minister Yulseth. Kessler's laugh was like the rumble of distant thunder. "Prime Minister, in 40 years of military service, I have never seen a species voluntarily charge into a situation they couldn't possibly win just to save strangers. If nothing else, this should prove educational. Besides, if the humans fail, we lose nothing. If they succeed ... She let the sentence hang in the air. "If they succeed," Zexai finished, "we will need to completely reassess our understanding of both humanity and the nature of military effectiveness." 3 hours later, long-range sensors picked up the human vessel Defiance as it entered the outer edge of the Kepler 442 system. The ship was smaller than most Council vessels, with a design that looked almost crude compared to the flowing, organic curves favored by galactic architects. It bristled with what appeared to be kinetic weapons rather than energy systems, and its hull showed the kind of wear that spoke of long travels through hostile space. The Eternal Curiosity was still transmitting, though weakly. The Thralix crew had managed to establish a defensive position in an asteroid field, using the massive rocks as cover while their attackers slowly wore down their remaining shields. Captain Morden's updates painted a grim picture: life support failing, weapons offline, and children crying in the lower decks as their elders struggled.